and welcome back to another episode of Musical Chairs with me, Cheer Up Charlie. And today we have the amazing, the wonderful. You chucked him out like he was trash, and for that you should be dead. But you haven't seen him since September. It's the amazing Jacob Fowler. Woo!
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very, very good, thank you. Very good.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, if you're ready, I will just get straight into the first question.
Let's go for it.
So, I'm pretty sure you must have been born singing a harmony. Was there ever a time you didn't sing?
Um, I think I started singing when I was like 10 or 11, but not lessons. I just sang around the house. And I remember people would be like, "Oh, you're kind of good." And I'd be like, well, when I say people, I mean like my family. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I had one singing lesson and I was like, actually, singing lessons aren't for me. Like I don't like to be told how to sing.
Yeah.
And for some reason I've held that kind of stubbornness all the way through to now. Like I mean I do have singing lessons if I need them, but like I just like to sing how I sing. And if I'm not
Yeah.
right for a role because of it, that's fine. I'm not trying to be the best. I just enjoy singing and I'm right for some things, not right for others. But I guess I've always kind of sang, yeah.
That's really cool. So I often get told to just like stop for 5 minutes, whether it be singing or talking. Was this something your parents said to you frequently?
Um, do you know what? I have to give it to them. I used to sing. What I used to do is I used to run a bath every night. I love a bath. I have a bath like most nights.
I like that.
And I used to run a bath. And whilst the bath was running, I used to like put on a karaoke of either a pop song or a musical theatre song, and I used to sing it like full belt. And we lived in like a relatively small, like it was a detached house, but it was relatively small. Like everyone could hear me, and I used to belt for days. And I think there was once ever that they were like, "Shut up now, Jacob." And that was it. Like, so I have to give it to them. They really did just listen to me screaming in the bathroom.
So, reality TV, as we know, is either something you love or you hate. So, what on earth made you decide that that was the decision to go on Little Mix the Search, which obviously you went on to have a huge career from? And is it a route you'd recommend to people?
Do you know what? I always said, and when I say always, it's because I always wanted to be like successful in singing, and people naturally then go, "Oh, why don't you go on X Factor? Why don't you go on Britain's Got Talent?" And I always said, "No, I don't want to do that. Like, I feel like that's like a well, back in those days, I thought that was like a fake way to get to the top. I was like, no, I don't want that. I want to train, and then I want to go from this to this to this. I don't want to just have that, success off a TV show." And then I got contacted by Little Mix the Search saying, "Would you like to audition?" And I was like, well, at first I said, "I'm not a girl, like I thought they were trying to look for the next Little Mix." And I was like, "Oh, that's not me, but like, thank you." And they were like, "No, no, it's all types of bands." I was like, why not? Like, I genuinely, and I mean this hand on heart, never ever thought it would go anywhere. I thought I'll just go to the first audition. And then I got through that and I thought, all right, I'll just go to the next one. And you obviously go through 3 or 4 auditions before you actually get to the TV. And I was like, oh, I've got to TV. Like, I'll do my audition. They might not even show me. And it just kept going. And then funnily enough, the roles reversed. And when we got to the semi-final and we knew we were going through to the final, I was like, no, we're going to win this now. I was like, there's no way we're not winning this. I've come too far. I honestly did not care up until the semi-final. Like, I was having a great time, but there was no part of me that was like, I want to win this. I just thought, I've come this far. It's great. Then when we got to the final, I was like, no, we're going to win. And that's all I'm having.
So, did you have any formal training growing up? And was the stage where you always saw yourself, or did you want to take more of a pop route?
I didn't have any formal training at all until drama school. Oh, that's a lie. I had a few singing lessons at my secondary school, but it was very classical. Like it was not poppy, it wasn't musical theatre, it was very kind of classical voice. And it wasn't really for me. So I had a few, maybe like 6, 7 in a year, and then stopped that. But I did consider a pop route. That was always where I was going. I started releasing my own songs whilst I was even though I was at drama school for musical theatre. I started releasing my own pop songs, and I started like doing little gigs here and there. And then the Little Mix thing would have implied that I might have gone down more of a pop route. But I've always preferred musical theatre. Like it's just where I enjoy singing. Like I love singing pop music, but I think that musical theatre is where I want to be.
So, where were you when you got that call about the role of JD in Heathers, which I still haven't seen? I really want to see it, and I love the music, but Mum won't let me go see it for some reason.
Oh my God.
No, I think I
How
kind
could
of
you not?
understand it.
How
Um,
could you not see it? How old are you?
14.
You can see it. I think it's got an age rating of 13, but that's just a guidance. But my sister, who was 11, sat front row at the other palace and watched me do it. And I don't know if you know the contents of Heathers, maybe I won't discuss it, but
Yeah.
scenes that I would rather my 11-year-old sister didn't see on the front row, but she did, and it goes over her head. She didn't care.
Yeah.
But,
All right. Well, I will be showing this to mum then.
yeah,
And
you
who was
go
the
on.
person who told you you'd got the job?
So my Heather story is it's even for this, it's too long to completely tell. But it was a very bizarre scenario where I got called on on the first day of rehearsals. They said, I had a bit of a connection with the producer in terms of like I'd sang for them before, so they knew that I could sing. And they basically on the first day of rehearsal, so the rest of the cast were there rehearsing. I had no idea that was even happening. I was never in for the role. I was never, and I was cover at first. So I got a message from my agent saying, no, lie, from the producer saying, hi, what are you doing for the next 14 weeks, I think it was. And I literally was like, oh my gosh, like, I think he's going to ask me to be in Heathers. And he said, can you send me a few things so I can send it to the Americans? And I did. And by the end of the day, I kind of knew I was going to get it. I can't, as in like because of the way that conversation had gone. Like I can't
Yeah.
imagine the Americans turning around and saying, "Actually, no, let's go back out and audition." Like they were already in rehearsals, so I was lucky in that respect. But it was a bit like, well, people that are watching this now, it won't be for yesterday, but the way the election happened yesterday, of like Labour knew they were going to win in a landslide, but no one could say it, and it was that kind of thing. I think I knew I had the role, but I didn't want to say I did in case I didn't
Yeah.
as in say to myself. And then my agent rang me at about, I was in an Asda car park in Lewisham, and my agent rang me at about 6 p.m. and was like, yeah, you start rehearsals tomorrow, which was the second day of rehearsals. And I was literally like, that is crazy. And it was for I remember saying to it was for cover JD. And I remember saying, oh, thank goodness, it's not the role because I don't even know if I can do the role. Like, and even then I was stressed back then. I was like, I don't think I can even sing that once. Like, never mind if I have to go on for days at a time. I honestly said that hand on heart, and I was like, yeah, like I'm just, it was my first real professional musical theatre job, and I was so scared, but now I've managed to play it the most in the world, which is ridiculous.
So I met you when you performed at my charity launch. Is bullying something that has touched your life?
I'm very fortunate in that it hasn't directly affected me ever. I, I was always kind of by myself at school. Not always, but especially when I was in year 7 8. I went to a school when no one else came to. From my primary to my secondary, I went to a completely new school. And looking back, that was the best decision that my parents have ever made. And that school, it's called Trinity in Nottingham, was the absolute reason that I'm here today. But at the time I was like, I hate you. I want to go to this like my local comprehensive school where all my other friends are going. But it was a good decision in the end. But I was quite lonely, and I don't mean that in a sad way, but I was quite lonely at school for the first kind of say year and a half. And I enjoyed that. Like I'm quite like that, and I think it's stuck with me now in
Hmm.
terms of like even now I like to be not constantly. I don't want to sound depressing and sad, but I like to be by myself, and I very much like my own company, and I honestly don't mind that. I'm most creative when I'm by myself. I'm most, my mind's whirring the most when I'm by myself in a good way. But I know I'm fortunate enough that no one ever, I was never, around bullying.
Yeah.
Even my friends didn't really, I can't remember any instances of people really getting bullied at my school, and I guess it was, testament to the school that I went to and the times that we were in. But no, I was very lucky personally.
Yeah. So Chirp Charlie's now in its fourth year with no signs of slowing down, just growing bigger. But even though we are raising so much awareness, it isn't enough. So many messages come in weekly, and I realise that it is up to the new generation to come through and make the changes needed. But change needs to be learned, which is why I want to take to a roadshow into schools. But how else do you think we can get over this negativity around the arts and what we choose to do and what we wear and who we choose to love?
I think, and it's incredible what you're doing, by the way. I think that slowly it's kind of a shame because it's going. We got so far one way of acceptance and love, and the arts being like the school that I went to, um, the one I was just talking about. It had someone won the BBC Young Musician of the Year when I was there. He was called Sheku Canameson, and he's part of the Canamasons, which are this huge I think it's seven of them kids, all from the same family that are all like musical prodigies. They're unbelievable. And I was so lucky that like music in my school was we had like 9 music teachers, which I thought was
Yeah.
normal. And then I speak to other people and they say, oh no, I have one music teacher for the whole secondary school. And I was like, what? How do you even do that? And they were like, well, I don't know, they just do it. And I was like, that's crazy. And even my school's gone downhill. And I don't want to get too political, but it is the state of the government, which hopefully, as we're watching it, well, not hopefully, we know now that that's going to change hands for the better. I should really hope. But yeah, I think that we need to keep expressing that opinion, which we do as performers. That we're not going to back down. And COVID was a prime example
Yeah.
of when the whole world was shut down. What did everyone have to do? Watch TV, listen to the radio, listen to music, read books. It was all the only thing that kept us going was create the creative. Sorry, not the only.
Hmm.
So I'm obviously the NHS, but I mean the thing that occupied our time the most when we were sat doing nothing was the creative industry, and yet that was the last one to get back up on its feet, and it was the first one to go down. And I think that's it's not, people don't realize what they've got until it's gone, and I think that the more it's going, the more people are realizing.
Yeah, and it's definitely the one that people think about the least in terms of how much people really need it, because it is such an important thing for people to have. Because I know for a fact, what kind of things would you do if you didn't have shows to go see, music to listen to, radio to listen to, books to read, anything like that? There would really be
Like,
nothing there.
nothing, exactly, exactly.
So, if you could give yourself some advice as a child, knowing what you know now and as an adult, what would it be? And let's be honest, would you, as a child, actually listen to it?
If I was to give myself advice,
Yeah.
I I think I would listen to it. I think uh, do you know what? I don't know. I have to admit, I was very, and I say this sometimes, and I was very fortunate, and I don't even mean fortunate financially. Like we were just average financially, but like I was very, which is fortunate, I guess. But I was very fortunate as a child that everything was pretty perfect. I
Yeah.
was like I had a great family, I had a great school, I had great friends. I honestly, and I guess I don't sit back and think about it as much, but I was so fortunate in every aspect. I was very fortunate with bereavements. I didn't have, even still, I've got all my grandparents, I've got all my inner family, I've got all my family, even my friends, that way. I remember people used to say, oh, people would come in and say, oh, my grandparent passed away, or God forbid, my parent passed away, something like, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't even. I think I was almost a bit unempathetic because I couldn't even relate to that type of loss. And I guess I still can't, but I've grown in empathy in other ways. But, I was so fortunate that I don't even know what advice I'd give. I think I'd just say, keep doing what you're doing. Like, I used to sing, like I said, every night in the bath. Well, not when I was in the bath, whilst I was waiting for the bath to run, I used to sing. I used to, and I would say, keep doing that. It's not, but I never did it to try and get anywhere. I just loved it.
Mhm.
I'd say, keep doing what you're doing for the love of it. Do you know what I would say? I'd say, learn the piano because I do play the piano, but I'm very self-taught. I would say, sit down and really start learning the piano when you're like 6. That would be my bit of advice. And I probably wouldn't have listened to it, but I should have.
So, if you could perform with anyone, who would it be? They can be fictional, they can be dead, and also if you could have anyone to write the song, who would it be? Like I
Oh,
said, they can be fictional, they can be dead, they can be quite literally anyone.
my absolute idol is Sam Smith. I think their music was that's what I used to sing, every
Yeah.
single I don't know if you know the song Lay Me Down, but I used to sing Lay Me Down every single day into there was this mirror in the bathroom and I just used to sing it. I don't even know why. I can't even imagine having the amount of times I sang it, but I was not doing it to kind of get better or anything. I loved singing it. Um so I'd love to duet with Sam Smith. That's my absolute dream. Who would write the song? I mean, Sam Smith writes great songs, but maybe I'd have. Oh, who would write a really great power ballad? Maybe someone like David Foster. He wrote like what did he write? Did he write The Prayer? But yeah, like some I'd write maybe it's just Sam Smith. But yeah, I'd have Sam Smith. I'd definitely sing with Sam Smith, and maybe I'd collaborate and write the song myself with Sam Smith.
You see, me personally, I'd have a mix of get this, Joe. I'd have a mix of Shakespeare and Lin-Manuel Miranda writing the song,
Oh my God, that would be good. That's a very good one.
and then I'd perform it with Taylor Swift to get that collab
You a
right there.
Swiftie? Are you a Swiftie?
I am a Swiftie, yeah.
I could honestly probably name you like three Taylor Swift songs. I'm so bad at it. I know. But look at her. She's dominating the world now. Good on her.
Uh-huh. But yeah, so that's a duo right
I
there.
can see that. I can see that.
So I know you're very perfect, but do you have any gross or weird or disgusting habits that the world doesn't know about?
I am by no means perfect. Don't think twice about that. Or do think twice rather. I bite my nails. I know that's really bad. I don't know why I do it. Maybe it's a nervous thing, maybe it's a stress thing, but I bite my nails. Um, what else do I have? Gosh, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking like really typical bad like hygiene things, but I've got like, well, not diagnosed, but I've definitely got OCD, so I'm very like clean with things. So I'm not really apart from biting my nails. So, but I'm trying to think less typical. Have you got any? What are yours?
Um, mine are ew.
Oh, you bad. No one's
Mine.
ever reversed the question on you before.
No, not for a while. Mine are probably when I'm eating, I have a habit of either just like if I'm eating a sandwich, I'll just kind of like pull it apart for no apparent reason.
Really?
Or if I'm eating some form of meal, I wouldn't do this if I'm eating out, only if I'm eating at home. I for
Yeah.
some reason just decide that the best thing to do is just like pick up some food from my plate with not with my knife and fork and just
Fine every now
eat
and then.
it
Unless it's
straight
like
out.
spaghetti and you're like, but if it's like chips and fish fingers and things like that, that's fine. I was just thinking as
Yeah.
you said that, my this isn't a bad habit of mine, but it's a bad habit of other people's. I can't deal with mouth noises. So
Oh
if
my
I'm at the
gosh.
table and someone's either eating with their mouth open or even if they're eating with their mouth shut, but it's like there's a lot going on in there.
Yeah. I
I
get
unless
annoyed
I'm
at my
like
dad.
a toffee or something, even that really gets to me. But I'm like, fine, it's a toffee. What can they do? But if any mouth noises, any like loud swallowers, some people really gulp when they swallow. It's irrational, pretty much. But I honestly, it gets to the absolute core of me.
I get it with my dad when he eats ice lollies, but he eats them like the loudest thing ever. He quite literally just
Like,
loves them.
yeah,
Um,
can't
and
do it.
also there was a person on my train the other day, and they were sat directly next to me, just chewing their gum as loud as they possibly could be. And I was
I've
like,
started to tell people, and it's not really my place, but if I'm on public transport and I can hear sometimes I have my AirPods in noise cancellation mode, and I can still hear people. And the thing is, with my like OCD, I latch onto it. Like, I can't not hear it then, and I literally have to. I don't even tell people necessarily because I don't like speaking to people, but I will literally like stare people down, like a bit like JD. Actually, I have to remember that I'm not JD sometimes, and I'll stare them down like, what are you doing?
so I know writing music or a musical is probably something that interests you. So do you think this is a route that you'll eventually take?
Absolutely. I'm currently in the process of that. I'm writing a musical film, which sounds it sounds far more extravagant than it is. It is what it is, but there's nothing, yeah, it's not like I'm working for Pixar or Disney or something. But I'm currently in the process of writing a musical that hopefully will be filmed. Um, and do you know what? This is what I'd say to myself as well when I was younger on these lines, and to anyone, just do it. Just do what you enjoy. Because I used to think someone had to give me permission. And I don't mean, like my mum and dad. I mean, like, I used to think that I had to achieve a certain accolade or everything needed a degree or everything needed a course or it doesn't. Like, I've listened to so much music in my life, as I guess so many people have. I've studied A-level music, not that I needed to do that. I've been to musical theatre. I know what I'm doing. And even if I don't, who cares? I'm doing it for the fun of it and that I enjoy it. And I spend any 3 hours I have in my day, like just before I was on here with you, you can't really see it here, but I've got a piano there, and I'm literally here like writing music and specifically for musical theatre, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, I think that I absolutely that's a the older I get, and I'm only 24, but the older I get, the more I'm like, actually, I want to explore other avenues rather than just singing on a stage.
Yeah. So just to finish it off, I've got some funny little quick fire questions for you.
Amazing.
So, where would you go if you were invisible?
Oh gosh. um.
Don't
Oh,
worry, said quick fire
I
questions are never
know.
actually quick.
I'm not quick fire at all. I think I'd go into Buckingham Palace. I think I just like, I'm not a royalist by any means, but I would just love to see, or 10 Downing Street, I'd love to see the inner workings of what we hold as the highest places of power. I'd love to, or I'd go into an audition room and then go out and then go invisible and go back in and hear what they had to say about me. But that could go one of two ways.
That's probably one of the best answers, actually. What's your favorite shop? Just any
Uh,
shop.
I love a Sainsbury's. I love a Sainsbury's. It's my favorite. Like a big shop, a late night big shop at Sainsbury's. Chef's kiss.
Favorite book?
Leslie Bricuss's autobiography, Pure Imagination.
Childhood book?
Roald Dahl's Georgia's Marvelous Medicine.
Favorite city?
Ooh. A recent one, Salzburg, Austria.
So this always gets people. Last song you downloaded?
You know what? I'm gonna check. I know it's not fast. Oh well, the last song I was listening to was First Midnight from Into the Woods.
Perfect. Favorite place to eat?
Wagamama's.
Where were you born?
Woodthorpe, Nottingham.
Best childhood memory?
Oh goodness. When I was 2, and I do remember it, I got a cake of Bob the Builder from my grandma made it. She was a cake maker, and it was a massive cake. Like it was nearly as big as me. I was only 2, and I think it's the first memory I have, and it was for my second birthday.
One thing you could never live without?
My phone. It's shallow, but it's true. I'm on. It's not even that I'm on it constantly like that. I need my phone for resources and things like that.
Hmm. So that's the end of the questions. You have escaped. You've made it through with your life and your dignity. Um, but thank you so much for joining me on Musical Chairs.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was amazing. So now you are free to leave. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Charlie. See you later.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.